Backblaze B2 command line interface, take 3. Hi, I'm Chris. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a primer for Backblaze B2 command line interface. And let's get started. So the command line interface is one way to access your data that's stored at Backblaze. There is a web interface for doing a lot of the administrative work and can do some uploading, downloading, deleting, changing permissions, that kind of stuff. But it's not available for large quantities of files or large size files. And at that point, you need to slip over to the command line interface. I think there's another API that's also set up that's available that's more complex. There's a picture of the servers. Let's see if we can get moving faster here. Here we go. So the first thing you need to do is realize that if you try to do certain things online when you're browsing files, you're going to hit that limit. So to get around it, you're going to download and install the command line interface. And make sure you have created a B2 account. And that's good. And create your Backblaze account. Enable your B2 command line interface. Next part, enable. There it is. Verify your email if you haven't done that. It's probably a good idea always. Next, command line interface. And we're going to click. Not there. Where are we clicking? Oh, we're going to click on the second one right there. Okay. So with that, you can come up to here. If you click there, you'll get your download. Move it on. There it is. Now it's in my download folder here. I just happen to have it set up on the E drive. Next thing we do is we copy it. And we put it into a new folder within the program folders or program files. I use the Backblaze. I've also done this on the Mac. It's a little different on the Mac, but it's similar because you have to use the Python. So there's no executable B2. But so once it's in there, you need to set the paths. There we go. Just memorize that path or write it down, type it out. You're going to paste it in. So we come to here, go to the Windows Start Menu item. I type E and V. And we're going to click on this one here, System Environment. Here we go. We're going to click Environment. We're going to click on the path. We're going to do Edit. We're going to come up with this window. So all these windows are going to pop up in that order. And we're going to add the line, the Backblaze unit in there, and click OK. At this point, you're going to have to click Restart or Log In and Log Out. After you do that, if you jump back into PowerShell, you can type $env:\path, or you can just do command line and just type path. So command line sometimes is a lot faster than the new PowerShell. That's that. Come into here. We're on the next line down here, command line interface. We're going to be coming in here a couple of times to get all this information. Command line interface, and we're going to click there. That's going to bring up this PDF. Save the PDF. You're going to use it over and over and over again. You're going to refer to it a lot. Once you're in here, this is the new version 4 API for the command line interface. So if you haven't learned the other ones, great. Just learn these and you'll be in good shape. Kind of the nomenclature. You always have to type B2 at the command line, space, and then you're going to do one of your commands. So account, bucket. So always get used to type B2, and then it's going to, especially if you've already set it up as the path, it's going to go, oh, you're going to use execute the B2, and what are you going to say? Bucket or whatever. But once you get past the B2, sometimes you're going to have to refer to certain files and certain locations as B2 : / or B2 ID : / Important for later. Kind of familiarize that you're going to be coming back to these. These are not just something we're drifting over really quick. We are. You're going to need them though. Some differences between the old and the new, between 3 and 4. 3 can still be used simultaneously just by typing the B3 instead of B2. B2 actually actuates the B3, or I'm sorry, B4. So if you click, when you type B2 at the command line, it's actually running the B4 executable. This executable jumps to that one. If you type B3, it will run the B3 if it's in your folder. You don't have to do all this monkey business. What's next? This has to do with the changes between the, doing camel case, lower, upper, versus having the dash in between, that kebab case setup. So there's some just differences. If you only know 4, don't worry about it. You're going to be getting away from that. There are going to be some files that are going to have a double dash in front, and some are going to have a single dash in front. Those haven't changed too much. Next, boom. We need to now authorize or log into our account. And when we created our application keys, you were supposed to write it down because it's only going to show it to you once. Otherwise, you have for your master key. All your other ones hold still, but your master key is only given to you once. So you need to write that down and your application key, both. Those you should have logged in somewhere. And there was big warnings on the web page when you first did that. And you're going to use this command here. Well, I can do that better. There we go. And if you do it all in one line, then you just have to paste in one line. I have everything stored in a text document. I can just copy and paste it right in. So, and here we are in the command line interface, and here's kind of how that same style. And it's warning if you use the old style, authorize dash account, it'll just give you a warning, but it will work. So here we are back in the command shell, and this time I typed it out, or I pasted it in with my master key. And as soon as you do that and hit enter, it's going to give you all this information, all your capabilities for your buckets, and what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do. Master key, you can do anything. We're going to create a shared key in a few minutes, and that will allow you to share some music files to your friends. Go to the next page here. If you do this and you forget to type in the ID and all that up here, it'll just prompt you for it. You can type that one in. That's the short one. That's the easy one. And then you'll get to the long one, and when you paste the long one, it won't show you it. It'll be invisible. You'll just have to trust that it's there and hit enter, and it'll come up with the whole list of all. The same thing if you would have typed it all in one line. That's kind of what this is talking about there. So you can pause if you want to and read that. Here we are at the bottom of that list, and it's just reiterating that you are the master. And there's your master key. This is the master key. If it's not, it won't say true. And it will repeat your keys there. Okay, next. Get account, or account get now, is just reiterating exactly what we just did by logging in without having to re-log in again. If you go, oh, let's say you were using a different key currently. You could type this account get, and it'll tell you what key you're using. It might only list 3 things in here. It might be, I don't know, read buckets, read files, a couple other things, list buckets. If you've only given it limited access to list and copy or play, then it'll list those in there. This is kind of like if you do the buckets help, bucket help. You can even type the subcommand help, and it'll give you more specific information about the specific subcommands that are in there. We'll be using create, delete, list, ls. We're We're not going to be doing updates today. We're not going to change any rules. We're not going to get authors. And you can do get also on the bucket to see data on there and create, of course. Okay, so this is for a little bit later, but this is how you delete a bucket if it's empty. So, but we're going to show you that again. Here we are here in the next set. And what do we got here? Create a bucket. This is one of the buckets we're just going to create. And then we're just going to say, hey, we're just going to delete it right away. Just proving that you can delete and create all public, or you can type all private. So you can read this if you want to. It has to do with dashes and naming buckets. Buckets are unique. Names are unique, not only within your account, but across Backblaze. So if you name the bucket test 13, nobody else can use that. It is unique. If you delete it and somebody else grabs it right away, you can't use it. So you can have 100 buckets in one of your accounts. So it's more than enough for anybody, because after that, you're just going to be using subdirectories. So you need your buckets. Okay, so we're in here now. We're going to create this bucket 27, all public. It gives you all this information, and then we're going to do an easy upload right there. This is kind of the easiest thing to do. File, upload. What bucket is it going to? And my bucket name is Bucklet Test 27. And where on your hard drive it is. If you're on a Windows machine, it's going to look something like that, right? Something right there. It's going to tell you how many bytes it's uploaded, how long it took you, how many are left, and roughly the rate that it uploaded at. And then it's going to give you all this information about what you just uploaded. And most importantly is, if it's a public bucket, this one right here, you could share that line right out there, that one right there. You share that out to anybody can download it. It's free for the taking. You can do the same thing with this other one. It's going to give you the ID, file ID, which is a big long number. I'll show you one of those a little later. When you upload a file, especially if they're under a certain size, I think 5 megabytes, it is going to create an SHA-1 and MD5 hash for you. You can also upload files with a hash. You can specify a hash in there. That's about that. This has to do with breaking files up into smaller parts. I'll cover that in a few minutes. Here we are, big file. I created a big old file. This big old file here. And I was uploading it to a specific bucket. And it'll give you this continuous update. It'll be all in one line. I just grabbed 3 shots just to see the changes over time and your overall rate. Same thing, easy name, hard name. Here, since it's a bigger file, it only created an SHA-1 file or hash right there. A little bit of information about hashes and size you can read on your own. Next, looks like we're listing. Okay, so we can list a file or list a bucket, and the test here is a prefix. The prefix is part of the name when it's uploaded. That is the name of the file at Backblaze. When downloaded, it'll be just that. But in Backblaze, subfolders are listed with prefixes. And there you are. Recursive -R. So if you list recursive, it's going to list everything and all subdirectories if there were a bunch in there. And we did a dry run to remove, so we can remove a bucket. We can do a remove, fully remove. Dry run just says, yeah, it's there. This is what I'm going to delete. When you do actual remove with no dry run, it's gone. And there you are. Be careful. You can delete stuff you don't want to delete if you're not careful. These 3 points here have to do with removing and different levels of removing. Read and understand this before you delete. You can accidentally delete whole subdirectories or top level directories and leave other stuff out when you think you've deleted stuff. A little list afterwards. After you do a delete, just to confirm, but you should always have a list. So that's deleting your files by removing. Next, if you add this long --long in there, it'll give you that will give you the full file. That's that file ID I was talking about a few minutes ago. Big, long file ID. Honkin' big. Every single file has one. So just wanted to show you that. In this long list, it'll also show you the size of each individual file, dates, and all that kind of stuff. I did this. When did I do that? January, February, March, April? Back in April. It's taken me a while to get back to this video project. Here we're going to do a bucket list. So B2 bucket and then list. Tells you if it's private or public. Private, public. Each bucket has an ID number, of course. Dashes. I never use underscores. Weird things happens when you name a bucket an underscore. Inside a bucket, underscores seem to work, but outside they don't. And we noticed here that, wow, this yo-yo dine didn't do a very good job. They made, it looks like their storage area public facing. Not good. That means we can go list it. So we can go to information about it. So we can list this information about it. If you have your master key and it's your documents, you can list anything. It doesn't matter if it's private or public. But if somehow, yeah, you don't want to put things public if you don't want them public. This will tell me everything about the bucket that you need to know. How many files, how big it is, all that kind of stuff. When we did a list of that bucket, we see all these files in here. And a bunch of so there's a subfolder employees, there's a subfolder for John Coyote, there's a subfolder for John Gant, John Icicle Boy. Every employee, it looks like, has their own. BZ empty. So there's a BZ empty file in most folders. You can rename them, make your own. That's what I did. It's fun. It's an empty file. It just tells the system that when you do certain types of deletes that it won't remove that dot file because it's hidden, and that directory will stay active, or the prefix will stay active. Next, and we get to see all this stuff, and then there's a couple files at the top level. So it's just showing you the breakdown. Have fun with it. Practice. So we can create a key for a bucket. This is kind of an important thing. Let's say I have a bucket in a private folder or even in a public one, but I want somebody to be able to access it and always have access to it. Or I can set a duration. That's 10,000 seconds, a little under 3 hours. So I can create a key, a special key, not a master key, a special key that I can give to people to access specifically the music subdirectory or prefix subdirectory, right, of this bucket. Okay, so I don't show the bucket name here, but that's what that is. So we've created, and then that key pair, you have to write that down. You have to save that. You will need that. It won't be shown to you again. It will not be shown to you again. You need to know it, copy and paste. So next. Here we are. We created the key, and this key only has 3 capabilities. Important. This is a restricted key. You can only do certain things in here. List buckets. List the files. Read the files. That means you can copy and paste them. And it is not a master key. Next. What do we got? And here we are. We've listed this music folder. And you can only list files in directory music because your key is restricted. It is restricted to the music directory. Important. So let's go look a little further in here. We can list the music now. There's the stuff. I just want to list. You cannot list files in any directory but the music. You try it, it's going to give you an error. There you go. So we're going to do a recursive list of the music and see everything that's in it. It's going to say that there's the music's prefix or subdirectory, and there's a FLAC and an MP3 subdirectory in there. There's a bunch of files in there. They have little quotes on the end, a single quote. That just means there's spaces in the file name. If there's no spaces in the file name, it won't put the little quotes around it, or the single quotes. You can read that and figure out what's going on with that. It's just to protect the names. Next. Here we are. We're listing specifically now this folder. We just want to see. I didn't want to list everything again, so we just listed just this folder. And it does some fancy stuff around, an apostrophe between don't needs special quoting in order for it to do that. Backblaze does all of that for you. It's just a way to see it. So that's that. And next, yep, there's the BZ file. What else is here? We can try to list the keys, but we relogged in with this special restricted key, so it's saying you can't do anything. So we jump out, jump back in with, I threw my master key back in here just to get relogged in with the master key. Now I can, where did I go? One more. Now I can list the keys because I'm back in my master key, and it tells me there's currently just one special, access key. And that's the My Music access key. I had named that earlier. And then I can delete that key, but I have to have the privileges to do that. So that's how you kind of share out a folder for people. So only those people can access it. So the next part of this is you can, instead of just upload single files, you can upload a whole folder. And that's going to be done with the local and then followed by where it's going to. So it's going to take everything in the upload folder and dump it into this set1 folder. If there's subdirectories in here, it should grab them all. I believe it does. And same thing coming back down. This is coming the other way now, reversing. We're going from the, maybe the next page is the reverse. There's the reverse. So this was just the dry run. Sorry. Dry run. Now we did the real run. says uploaded, but this was a dry run. That's dry, but this is real now. Got real. And there's ways to add threads, aka multiple breaks the file into 100 megabyte chunks and uploads them. But if there's a internet or network problem, if a full chunk isn't uploaded, then you'll have to re-upload that chunk. Kind of fun. Sync upload. Now it looks like I did a second one down here just to a different folder. So yeah, you can split stuff into chunks, and you can define the size of chunks, but not in B2. You can only define them larger than 100 megabytes. In the other API, you can define them down to 10 megabytes, and can be handy, especially if you're uploading big files. If you do a lot of threads, you can upload a lot of partial chunks, get an internet break, and not be able to upload. So keep your threads fairly small. It's not too big of an advantage to break everything into threads. So I think that's that on that one. And then here's the reverse. This is downloading now. See, it says download. Over here it says upload. Good. Define the bucket. Put it in. I always put this stuff in quotes. I think there's sometimes you don't have to. Get used to putting it in quotes in case there happens to be a hidden space or space in between. Just put quotes around them. Then you won't go bad. So this is a dry run. And it looks like this is a download. And then now the next screen here is I'm using sync to remove files or to delete. It's another way of deleting, and it's a great way to delete a whole folder or a whole prefix area. And allowance. And you should do dry run before you run this to see. And sure, and it will be saying delete right there. It will say delete. So B2 sync, you should have dry run. I don't know if it has to be at the beginning or the end. Put it close to the beginning, just to make sure that it is truly a dry run. And you're deleting. And what it does is you have to select an empty folder on your computer. Nothing in it. And then you sync this to this. Since it has allow empty source and delete, it just blitzes everything. That'll all be gone. Okay, that's that. I think we're done with the B2 command line interface primer, I guess you could call it. Hopefully there's some good information in there for you that will allow you to start using it to store your data. 10 gigabytes free. It's very cheap after that. It's super cheap to store data on Backblaze. Highly recommended. You can create replications to other servers if you want. So you have kind of double. You'll get charged double, but it's not. You're getting charged so little that it won't matter. And I have no idea what that thing was. So you can have stuff stored here, and it'll automatically replicate over to another server, like on the East Coast or Europe. And so if anything happens to the one here in California, it'll go to New Jersey or to Montreal or up to somewhere in Europe. So that is the Backblaze B2 command line interface. And that's all she wrote.